All right, everybody, it is Steve with Real Progress in Action. It's going to be tough to learn to say that, but that's the new entity when it comes to the political side and when it comes to all things that go outside that C3 status. But in any event, you know, I go by the tagline, austerity is murder, on Twitter. And there's a reason for that. Austerity is murder. I don't know if you all even know what the word austerity means, but I want to explain to you what austerity means. Austerity is always about either cutting spending, raising taxes, and otherwise cutting services. In the end, the people always suffer. It's always suffering. Austerity means being tight. It means being mean. It means being conservative. It means destroying. Okay? Austerity means cutting away, tightening up. And when you look at our friends in the Democratic Party and you look at our friends in the Republican Party, people get swept up in the partisan nature of politics. It's easy to get swept up in the partisan nature of politics. But I want to explain something to you. Austerity knows no party boundaries. And to put an exclamation point on this, the Democratic Party is always trying to reduce the deficit. The Democratic Party is always trying to find a way to pay for domestic programs. I want you to understand this because that is austerity. They are always putting these major hurdles in front of life-saving legislation. You don't hear anyone put the brakes on the war machine to find a way to pay for things. You don't ever hear them say, well, we're going to have to push the next war out 3 or 4 years. Like Elizabeth Warren is now saying about Medicare for all. She's suddenly back, push it away. But let me tell you what you do have. You have a Democratic Party and people in general who are still hell-bent on reducing the deficit, paying for programs, and breeding austerity into the world. You thought it was just the GOP? Think again. You've got the stinking impeachment on your brain. You know, go back a ways. Impeachment has gone on since Donald Trump was nominated. We're not even talking about during the general election. They were already talking about impeachment during the general election. And then the minute the election happened, they were already talking about impeachment. And now here we are, years into this, and suddenly Pelosi is ready to pull the trigger on impeachment. Now, mind you, Donald Trump is a pile of shit, but he's been a pile of shit and will never not be a pile of shit. But as she tries to force folks like Bernie Sanders and others like Elizabeth Warren, whom I am in no way, shape, or form supporting, when she tries to pull them into their impeachment hearings to limit their viability in the election cycle, they found a new way to fuck progressives. But we're going to talk tonight about a really old way these sons of bitches fuck progressives. And really, by extension, we the people. This next thing is a article in Common Dreams. Jake Johnson. And it's titled, Senate Democrats Join GOP to Back Automatic Austerity Bill That Would Cut Social Programs and Hamstring Bold Policies. And they go on to say, one priority of a Sanders or Warren White House absolutely must be politically crushing the deficit scolds within the Democratic Party. Now, I want you all to understand something. Elizabeth Warren is already backing away from Medicare for all. I don't know why these people continue to add Elizabeth Warren in the mix like either or. It's not either or. Elizabeth Warren is little more than a Reaganite. Very, very little difference between her and a typical old school cloth coat Republican. She's still about markets. She's still about the private sector. She's still about putting our needs in the hands of private business and private banks and lending and Wall Street. But let's go ahead and read this article together because this is important stuff. A handful of Senate Democrats joined forces with Republicans last week to advance sweeping budget legislation that would establish an automatic deficit reduction process that could trigger millions of dollars of cuts in Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, and other social programs, and potentially hobble the agenda for the next president. The Bipartisan Congressional Budget Reform Act, S2765, authored by Senators Sheldon Whitehouse, Democrat, Rhode Island, and Mike Enzi, Republican, Wyoming, passed out of the Senate Budget Committee on November 6th. Folks, it passed the Senate Budget Committee. The legislation is co-sponsored by 5 members of the Senate Democratic Caucus: Whitehouse, Mark Warner, Virginia; Tim Kaine, Virginia, Hillary's running mate; Chris Coons, and Angus King. Senator Bernie Sanders, the ranking member of the Senate Budget Committee and a 2020 Democratic presidential candidate, issued a statement last week opposing the legislation and warning it could be used by Republicans to unilaterally cut programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and nutrition assistance, all supposedly to reduce the deficit. This new proposed process comes less than 2 years after Republicans on this committee showed no hesitation in adding $2 trillion to the deficit in order to pass Trump tax cuts for the wealthiest families and the most profitable corporations in America, said Sanders. As the American Prospect's David Dayen noted Thursday, passage of the S2765 would severely hamstring Sanders' ability to implement his agenda should he win the White House in 2020. If a Democrat wants to extend free public college to all Americans and move toward a universal health care system or amass resources to fight the climate crisis, Dan wrote, they're going to run into deficit scolds, the "no, we can't" brigade. Republicans like Enzi wants to build that "no, we can't" presumption into the budget process itself. It makes no sense for Democrats to help them. Jeff Spross, one priority of a Sanders or Warren White House. Jeff, stop freaking bringing Warren into this. Stop. God, it drives me crazy. One priority of a Sanders or Warren White House absolutely must be politically crushing the deficit scolds within the Democratic Party. David Dayen, I am at the Prospect today about a budget bill weirdly supported by Sheldon Whitehouse that would create an automatic process to cut vital spending, a harbinger of the deficit hawk play we're sure to see if a Dem wins the White House. Title 4 of S765, Dayen explains, would create an automatic process to slash potentially trillions of dollars from programs like Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, and Obamacare subsidies. A budget resolution would pass in the first year of a new Congress. The next year, on February 15th, the Congressional Budget Office would compare the debt-GDP ratio, a dumb, stupid measurement, in the budget resolution to a new projection that incorporates the evidence of the past year. If the new projection exceeds the budget resolutions, that would trigger a special automatic reconciliation process to effectively wipe out the gap. For the most part, cuts would have to come out of mandatory programs like health spending, nutrition assistance for the poor. Social Security is protected from reconciliation. The past 3 budget resolutions passed by Congress would have, under this bill, forced automatic reconciliation deficit cuts with a staggering total of $9.5 trillion. An analysis of S726 or 2765 last week. Richard Kogan and Joel Friedman of the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities wrote that the bill amounts to an automatic austerity that could drive harmful budget cuts and severely hamper the nation's ability to respond to an economic downturn. The question of what sound budget policy should not be driven by a presumption that austerity is always the right answer, Kogan and Friedman wrote. Matt Iglesias, Democrats' totally misguided views about the budget deficit hamstrung the national economy during Obama's presidency and threatened to undermine any hope of meaningful legislation in 2021. David Dang. The vote to advance S-2765 out of the Senate Budget Committee came after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said Democrats must commit to a so-called pay-go rules, which requires all new spending to be offset with budget cuts or tax increases. I hate these people. Folks, I fucking hate them. They're murderers. Not misguided. We're past the point of giving them the benefit of the doubt and calling them misguided. We're past the point of just saying, they just don't understand that the government creates money out of thin air and that we don't need to do this shit and kill people. We're past the point of that. You've chosen to be a fucking murderer. Do you get it? Do you get it now? Have you woken up? Or are you still going to be the one that when this freaking winter hits, you see the homeless people and you better freaking realize that your desire to cut deficits and reduce the debt and build in austerity is going to murder people. We're not going to give you any more benefit of the doubt, folks. I'm done. For all my friends in the MMT community, God love you. God love you. But if you keep making excuses for these people, more people are going to die. And I'm going to put that on the people that know better for not doing better. Because it's war. It's not a gentleman's discussion over tea with the pinky out. That's not what this is. Real lives are at stake here. Real people are going to suffer major calamities, up to and including death, over our lack of ability to crush deficit scolds and this whole mindset of austerity. It's murder. And we must treat it as murder. You don't run around treating a rapist as a gentleman. Well, everybody's got a different definition of rape. Everybody's not aware that this is a problem. Well, it's time we make it a problem. I'm done placating deficit scolds. I'm done placating debt hawks. I'm done placating the people that want us to eat our peas as they reduce deficits and cut spending. The clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. People will die this winter as a result of the cordiality that we've extended to the murderers. At the end of the day, this is not a matter of economics. This is a matter of life and death. This is not a matter of ledger entries. This is a matter of the next guy freezing to death under a park bench. This isn't a matter of whether or not you feel it's more appropriate to be sweet and kind and gentle when the person dies of starvation or because they couldn't get health care. That's murder. When you know it, you do better. And we know better. So it's time to do better. Progressives have warned that adherence to conservative pay-go rules would completely undermine any possibility of Medicare for all, a Green New Deal, and any other ambitious policy goals. Do you understand now? Anybody, hello, are you in there? Do you understand now why all those people that called MMT a cult, that ran around and shit-talked and ignored the economics, do you understand now why Bernie Sanders supporters, you have failed if you don't get this? And you don't advance this? Have you figured out now how you're failing Bernie Sanders? Have you figured out now how you're failing the entire progressive movement when you don't understand? This is no longer a game of patty cake. This is no longer a matter of your sensibilities. I don't give a damn if I offend you anymore. The gloves are off. Lives are at stake. And I am done being tone policed into ignoring this truth because it makes your ears hurt, because you can't talk about it in polite society. I don't care. Do you get this? It is real, and people are dying. And for those of you out there who are worried about tone, no joke. This winter is coming, buddy. And climate change is coming. And people are already going without health care. I can't take it anymore. I won't take it anymore. Not quietly, not sitting down, not politely. When you see a bully on the playground punch a little kid, you don't sit there and go, oh, he just didn't know any better. No, you freaking rage out and you take care of it. When people are shooting each other, you don't go, they're just misunderstood. You take care of it. In this case, these deficit skulls are literally going to kill people. The urgency of the climate crisis must be there. The urgency of the lack of health care must be there. The urgency of the lack of housing must be there. The urgency of a lack of basic needs must be there. And for you people out there who just have better things to do than worry about this, shame the hell on you. Shame on you. Shame on every one of you that don't have the energy and the freaking understanding and the desire to save lives. This is serious. And this is happening right now. Your alternative media out there just ignoring this stuff. You can't even get these guys to cover modern monetary theory so people know the truth. They won't even touch it. And then they want to run around talking about this current event and that current event, while this major thing that is going to block everything we care about is starting to roll out right in front of your face. Nancy Pelosi got you blindfolded with impeachment, all you friggin' lemmings out there running off with that gang. And they're right there under your nose. They're going to sweep austerity under us, and people are going to die. People are going to die. And I can't take it anymore. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of talking to people. They don't want to hear, it's just a stupid economic thingy. It's a cult. It's whatever. Any left-wing president will have to deal with the Pelosi problem, the existence of powerful Democrats who are too wedded to big money to accept an ambitious program, the nation's cheat hero wrote last week. Defeating the Republicans will be the easy part. The real challenge will be overriding Pelosi's veto. Did you hear that? Not the Republicans, the freaking Democrats. The freaking Democrats. I mean, this stuff right here, it's just not okay. It's just not okay. You know, people got all upset at me because I tell it straight. Folks, I give you no chaser, no sugar, no sweetener, and I'm not interested in changing it either. In fact, I'm interested in doubling down on it. If I have to be Will Ferrell in Old School, running down the street going, everybody, we're going to the quad. And I'm the only idiot doing it. I'm fine with that. I've given up on the people that are supposed to support us, supporting us in the way we should be supported. I understand that everybody's not, they're going to wait. Are they going to get angry over there? Are those people over there okay, now we can angry. Okay, Steve's crazy. Oh, we're okay with politics and MMT now? Oh, okay. Now we'll do it then. Okay. No, I don't care. I'm fighting for lives. And that's how I'm playing it, period. If you don't understand this and you're interested in learning it, this is a war, and I'm willing to help. We're all willing to help. But let me tell you, the minute you start fucking tone policing people when they're trying to save lives, you've just lost all grounds. You've lost your entire standing once you do that. You've proven your tone is far more important than the person that's going to die because you allow it to be some little pinky out bullshit. No. No. It's not okay. And it's time we started treating it like it's not okay. I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progress in Action. Have a great day.